Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. We're a podcast about board games where we have opinions and conclusions formed on the basis of incomplete information. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is brought to you by these great Saskatoon businesses: Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street, Dragon's Den Games on 8th Street, and Breakout Escape Rooms on Faithful Avenue. Hey there, I'm Norm, and this is the Cardboard Conjecture podcast. And on this episode, we're going to check out some games of late. We're going to see what's trending, what's new, and what's on the crowdfunding scene. And it is a topic episode, and this topic is the Mechanics series. And we're going to explore the Rondel. You know, round, like a hockey puck. Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street in Saskatoon. They're the winner of the Joe Shuster Award for Best Comic Book Store in Canada, and they were also nominated in 2016 for the U.S. Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award, presented at Comic-Con. Amazing Stories' amazing collection of comic books, board games, puzzles, and collectibles can be found in their store or on their new online website. Hey, and welcome back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. Let's check out some games of late. And lately, just last week in the Gamer's Garage, I finally got to... not that finally, but finally for this game, got to take it off the shelf of shame and get it to the table. And I'm talking about Praga Caput Regni, designed by Vladimir Suki and published by Delicious Games. And this came out in, where are we here? 2020. I'm like behind. I'm slow to this one. And it plays 1 to 4 players, 45 to 150 minutes. I always think that's subjective, you know. Okay, so let's get to it. Vladimir Suki, one of my, he's in the top 10. I believe, yeah, absolutely. I have to think back to the designers, favorite designers. But Underwater Cities is one of his, one of my favorite games. Shipyard. So as far as I'm concerned, I bought this game strictly on who is the one responsible for putting this genius onto cardboard. And I'm spilling it a little bit. So Praga Caput Regni is basically your citizens in medieval Prague, and you're organizing building projects to gain the king's favor. You know, and it's such a good Euro that there are so many different ways to pursue. It's a Euro, victory points, right? So there's so many different ways, thematically speaking, to pursue victory points. And this is, as far as the mechanics in this game are, there's some majority area control. There's some tile laying. There's action selection. I mean, the cool part about this game is when you choose your action, it's on this thematic wheel, and this wheel was probably for the Middle Ages. That was the engine driving the whole construction, because that wheel generated power to lift stones for the bridge, for the construction materials. It was integral for progress to happen. So very cool. Now on this wooden wheel, maybe you can call it a rondel. Yeah, let's call it a rondel. On this wheel, you pick action tiles, and the cool part on these action tiles is there's a choice. It's one or the other. There's, as far as the actions go. And on where this tile is, this cog tile, I guess, where it's situated on the moving rondel, there are bonus actions that are randomly connected, because when you put this tile back, necessarily not going to be in the same spot with the same bonus. And so you can build You can do some cathedral building. You can do some other kind of administration buildings. So there's 2 routes to go there. There's the area control in the village, right? Don't forget about the village, right? So there's all of that area control majority benefits for starting to build up that aspect of the community. There's just so much cool stuff going on in this game that even at your player board position where you're building walls around your own action potential, it is so cool. It is so cool how, depending on the direction you want to go, you can modify your engine, your Rondel engine, I guess. And I definitely want to get back to this game because, it's one of those games where played it last week and I'm still thinking about it. Now, thematically speaking, this is what I just loved about it because understood it from one of the YouTube teaches, and then, of course, did my own little homework. And there's this aspect of eggs. And what is important about that is that they use the eggs in the mortar when mixing for the construction materials for building the bridge and building roads and stuff like that. And they say that because of that choice, that bridge has been up for over 600 years, I believe. So, yay! Praga, Caput, Regni. I have no idea. I should check Google Translate to see what the other 2 words are. I think I heard what it was, but I'm not going to, add to the conjecture. So yeah, there you go. Wonderful game. The next game I quickly want to talk about is Strike, designed by Dieter Nuble and published by Ravensburger. My apologies if I mispronounced your name. Strike. There's the big controversy. Is it gladiators in arena or is it dice in a bowl? It's so straightforward, simple in this game, but there's so much engagement, and depending on who's sitting at the table with you, because I play this game. I've been playing a lot because it's one of those games there that Daniel and I will play as we're waiting for the bus to pick him up for school, and it's basically. You start off with the dice in this, and it's a plastic bowl inside the box, making to look like a Colosseum kind of theme. And it's simple mechanics. Whatever dice are sitting on the arena floor, you roll a dice. If you make a pair or pairs, you claim those dice as part of your gladiator pool. And you basically take turns and you keep going until you have no dice left and there's one gladiator standing. And that's pretty much the fun we're having because we're doing trick shots. We're trying to get it around the bowl. You could throw it in and scramble all the dice that are there to reestablish pip numbers. Now, here's the interesting part. If ever you roll a 1, and in this case the 1 is an X, they're ousted they're eliminated. And they're ousted from the arena. So that gladiator pool starts to dwindle depending on how many X's you guys keep throwing. I always throw them. I don't think I made one time. I think I threw X's every time. So, and it's so fast, so fun. There's not much at stake here, but just sheer randomness. And sometimes that sheer randomness can produce joy. And this is one of those games that is very joyful. So thank you so much. That was Strike, designed by Dieter Nuble, and published by Ravensburger. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Dragon's Den Games, located in the Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. Swing by Dragon's Den Games and let Darren, Al, and the awesome staff help you out in search for great board games, role-playing games, miniature systems, and all of the related accessories. Be a part of their gaming communities that have scheduled events in their great gaming area. Dragon's Den Games, Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. Hey there, we're back, and let's go check out what's trending and what's new according to the BGG statistics. And the first thing that we're going to talk about was what's trending. And I've seen this game on social media talked about, and only not more so by the title. The title was secondary in my kind of knowledge acquisition or attraction. But the first thing that attracted me was the box cover, the art, and it's straightforward, simple. It's a square rectangle kind of thing with diagonal white on the top and diagonal division of the box kind of in two segments of a purple pink down into a deep purple pink or fuchsia. I might be way off. Maybe it's just purple. But the game I'm talking about is Unsettled 2021. And this is designed by Mark Neidlinger and Tom Matson and published by Orange Nebula. And so I have no idea what it's about. Let's go check it out. So what it says here is it's a cooperative survival game in the bizarre and wondrous reaches of deep space. I love space-themed games. I'm interested. So there's probably a good reason why it's trending. So this is 2 to 4 players. I'm a solo guy right now, at least. Well, wait. There's Wednesday Gamers Garage. 60 to 90 minutes, so that sounds reasonable. And ages 14 and up, I mean, that's subjective, right? So let's check out the description. So lost amidst the surreal and bizarre unknowns of the far reaches of the cosmos, your crew of explorers must pull together to discover the resources necessary to survive the long journey home. Unsettled is a 2 to 4 player cooperative survival adventure set in the wondrous and unnerving fringes of uncharted space. There are no enemies and no combat, only an environment where every step, every breath, every particle around you could mean immediate terrifying death. Enemies are the least of your concerns. In these incredible conditions, you must complete a series of tasks necessary to your continued survival. Perhaps the water reclamation system on the ship needs repair, or, as usual, food supplies are running low. Before you lies a strange alien landscape. It's up to you to complete these tasks using whatever you find out there. Each time you play, you will have a different combination of survival tasks to complete, and the things you discover and the weird properties will be different as well. So while you always start out knowing what problems you need to solve, you have no idea how you're going to use the world before you to do so, or what the world is going to do to you while you try. As you explore the environment, encountering wild and unique opportunities along the way, you will work closely with the rest of your crew to achieve your goal of continued existence. The only thing you can be sure of is each other. Lose that trust and you'll lose all hope of survival. Whoa! Okay, that is so cool. That is, it sounds pretty intense. I like what they're describing in regards to the variability. And yeah, so as far as the mechanisms that they are claiming to be part of this game is obviously it's a cooperative game. So right away I'm looking at the next qualifier and I cringe a bit. There's dice rolling, and I'm cringing because dice hate me. Any chance they can get to hurt me, they'll do so. Modular board, like it. Variable setup, love it. Worker placement, I know one person who I'm going to say sorry to. I'm sorry. I love my worker placement though. So yeah, worker placement. The check every time I'm seeing what I'm seeing and what I'm reading. It's checkbox after checkbox, and quickly having a look at some of the pictures here. The game board looks to be like square tiles of different environments and different powers and conditions that you lay out to create your board. And there's little miniatures that move around. And you have an interesting kind of player board where it looks like there's some adaptations that you can do in regards to your powers and in regards to track levels and stuff like that. So yeah. This is very cool. There's a lot of endorsement to this game, but yeah, I mean, games are subjective. You got to do your homework and make sure that you're getting one that you like. So Unsettled sounds like a game that I could appreciate, very much so. Now, what's new? What's on the shelves? Now, again, I'm saying that with a kind of a, biting my lip a bit because, here in Canada, yeah, well, we hear about those games, but we don't get those games for another 6 to 8 weeks, So the next one I'm waiting to see on the shelves is Tales from the Loop, the board game. Now, Tales from the Loop, IP is a episodic TV show or streaming show, if you want to call it. And the best way from my perspective to describe this is a really cool perspective take on storytelling with the idea of like the Twilight Zone, where you establish this world, and then within this world, these rules of physics can be broken. And I'm going to make a straight out a statement here. I've not spent more than probably 2 episodes watching Tales from the Loop, and only because my kids control the TV, and you just want to yell at them. Bandwidth doesn't grow on trees, hey? So, but the game here, so let's take a quick look. So solve the mysteries as kids in a strange world set in the 80s that never was. Maybe for some people it was. Now, it plays 1 to 5 players, 90 to 180 minutes, and it's designed by Ricard Antroia and Martin Takaishi. I apologize if I've mispronounced your name. Published by Free League Publishing, and let's have a quick look to see what they say as far as the description of this game, because so far I'm liking it. I'm looking at the mechanics, and they say that they're using action points. It's a cooperative game. There's dice rolling. There's narrative choice. There's scenario and mission and campaign. There's solo play. So yeah, check. I mean, I'm an easy consumer target here. Here we go. So in the description, in the Tales from the Loop, the board game, you take the role of local kids and play cooperatively to investigate whatever phenomena that threaten the islands, or perhaps just the local video store, and hopefully stop them. Each day starts at school, but as soon as the bell rings, you can use whatever time you have before dinner and homework to go exploring. Player actions are integrated, meaning there's no downtime as you wait for others taking their turn. It also makes cooperating with your fellow players dynamic, as you can react to things that happen in a turn and don't have to plan it all out from the start. So that kind of sounds cool from the point of view that as a cooperative game, the biggest downfall, and when I talked about cooperative gaming, the biggest downfall sometimes is the alpha gamer. And in this case, if everyone's just going, there is no alpha gaming because you're deciding in the moment, which is really cool. That idea or perspective of behaving in the moment is very much like the training that I did when I studied improvisation, when I did my drama. And improvisation is strictly behaving in the moment, listening to every source of information coming in, and accepting everything and contributing something back. So there's no taking over anybody else's decision-making points because you are engaged in your own. So I really like that. If that's what I'm thinking that this game offers, this could be a very cool cooperative game in regards to taking care of that aspect, that perceived negative aspect. I'm totally digging it. Now, there's some very cool minis, and the board. The art looks really cool. It has that kind of because I lived in the 80s. It has that retro 80s kind of and it's not a steampunk thing, but like I would say like a 80s mech kind of, put it this way, if Apple basically made weapons and machines and monster machines kind of thing. So yeah, that would be very cool reality. So yeah, that is Tales from the Loop, the board game, new to the shelves soon. Hi. If you like the content we're creating and the podcast episodes we're producing, please leave a happy rating on the podcast platform that you use. This would be such a great gift and would also help others find our podcast when they search for board game podcasts. And if you have the time, check out our new YouTube channel where we have new content every few days. Just search Cardboard Conjecture on YouTube. Thanks, eh? And let's go have a look at some crowdfunding scene. And this kind of looks very cool. The box attracted me, and the fact that it's a next level flicking game. And this is Iron Forest, and it is said to come out in 2023. And let's get you some description. Oh, I am fired up for this one because we like our flicking games in this house. So, here's the story. The game Iron Forest takes place in a fantastical land called Nemus. Several different clans called Nemus home, including Wolf Clan, Hedgehog Clan, Rabbit Clan, and the Owl Clan. While the many clans have called this land home for as long as they can remember, they know they were not the first to live here. On the edge of Nemus lies a place the clan calls Iron Forest, filled with strange-looking structures and creations. Upon deeper exploration, the combined forces of animal clans discovered incredible technology that they quickly learned how to use, creating their own amazing machines that helped them develop their own civilization. However, one day, Iron Forest sprang to life and rose into the sky, building machines of their own. This Iron Forest has one objective: to take back the technology stolen from Iron Forest. Now, animal clans must fight back to protect their homeland. The gameplay involves Iron Forest is a flicking game for 2 to 4 players split into 2 opposing teams, animal clans or Iron Forest. Each scenario offers asymmetrical objectives that each side needs to fulfill in order to win. Scenarios involve players trying to control certain areas of the game board, destroy opposing team mechas, collect certain objects, and much more. On their turns, players draw cards from their team's activation deck, then activate the mecha depicted on that card by either flicking it or launching it. Players also have access to a range of different power-up cards that will grant their side unique abilities, turning the tide in their favor. This is really cool. Now, what I had a peek a little earlier, and what appealed to me a lot, well, first of all, the art. The art is so engaging. It's so awesome. I'll find out who the artist is, because right now I'm checking out the game board, and it is a 2-tiered game board that integrates it looks like how Ice Cool used the boxes themselves for the enclosed terrain area. This looks like it does a similar technique in using the boxes now, but it does one level better because it creates a second level. You take the smaller of the boxes, and it looks like they're kind of turned on a diagonal because you have plastic supports that rest on the edges of the bottom box and then support the top box. And the top box has drop holes into it. And it looks like there's kind of teleport points where maybe from the bottom box, if you land on a certain spot, you get brought to the top box. And so, oh yeah, this looks like so much fun. See? Oh, okay, I'm just going to set that tab aside because it's going to be one of those shopping day episodes. So yeah, I'm all for it. This is let's see, here we go. Iron Force is designed by Brian Gomez and published by Brain Games. And the artist is Regni Petersons. I hope I did that. I hope I did justice to that pronunciation. So, yes, wonderful. Oh, here we go. It's crowdfunding time. Yay. This episode is supported by the incredible team at Breakout Escape and Board Game Lounge here in Saskatoon. Using industry-leading technology, Breakout escape rooms are all 100% uniquely designed by the team to ensure their patrons have maximum fun while staying safe. As well, they are a fully licensed board game lounge with over 400 titles to select from to ensure fun for every gamer, new and experienced. Be sure to check them out at breakoutsask.com. At Breakout Escapes and Board Game Lounge, they believe that life is more fun when you play games. And we are back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. Let's get into the Mechanics series. And this time we're going to talk about the Rondel mechanic or mechanism, depending on which perspective you wish to take. So, first of all, let's get to the point here with this mechanism, the Rondel. I speak French. I have Canadian French heritage. And when you say that word to me, all I can think of is hockey puck. And from a Canadian point of view, that hockey puck is always the center of attention. So let's get that out of the way. Well, so what is the Rondel mechanic? So originally, the Rondel mechanic was, or is, on the board, depicted as a wheel or a pie chart, like a pizza pie, and divided into those slice sections. And in these sections, they represent either actions or resources that you can take. And typically, you go around this rondel clockwise. And for those who don't know what clockwise means, if you're at the top, your marker's at the top, then you move right and go around the circle that way, like an old analog clock. Like the old telephones. I'm so showing my age. And wouldn't those be cool if we got those back? That'd be so cool. So, like I said, that whole round pie is divided into actions where it's either, like I said, actions or resources, and you move around. Now, typically, the designers we'll get to the, who kind of brought this to bear on the board game market or design kind of concept or methods. But typically, you have 1 to 3 spaces in front of you that you can choose from penalty-free, right? Meaning that you just get to take them. If you choose to take an action that is past that, typically it's at a cost. And and now sometimes it's just you cross that threshold, you pay a cost. Other times is for each time that you proceed forward, you contribute to that cost. So first time it's 1, next time it's cost you 2, next time it's going to cost you 3. So if you really want to move around that rondel to go to a particular action, it could cost you a lot of resources. So you need to look ahead and plan your game strategy according to what is down the road kind of thing. And so that is what is going on as far as you being able to take your actions. It all happens from this circular mechanism. Now, sometimes there are games where you have 1 marker that goes around. Other times, you might have 2 markers where one can never pass the other kind of idea. And in other games, that rondel gets transformed into a deck of or a hand of cards or a personal deck of cards that is your rondel, and you exhaust your actions. Okay, so that being said, this is what we're looking at as far as what makes this game engine work as far as the mechanisms. Now let's talk about Mac Gertz. He's credited with releasing the first game to include this mechanism when he designed Antique, which came out in 2005. Now, it is, it's all about antiquity. You look at the board game cover, and it is Greek antiquity. Now, in that game, that was the simplest introduction that we had. Was here's this round pie. There's actions around it. You go around it, and as I described before, you know what? Let's go through his repertoire, because he it based around this genius came from his mind. So let's see what his repertoire was. So yeah, like I said, in 2005 he came out with Antique. In 2006 came out with Imperial, which was I've had a past of playing a lot of Risk, and this is a very interesting game because Imperial, you represent empires or nations or however you want to pitch it, but you don't represent them. It's just this interesting balance of push-pull. Then in 2007 came out with Hamburgum, and it also says that there's a Rondel. The Princes of Machu Picchu has a Rondel system in it, and I believe this Rondel system is very track-like. So he starts to explore with this idea. Then in 2009 came out with the Imperial 2030, kind of a bigger riff on the game, sort of take it into the next era of international economics and influence. In 2010, Navigador. I have Navigador. It's great, and it's a straightforward, simple Rondel, but that Rondel triggers a lot of other domains of actions and subsidiary actions. And Navigador is Portuguese exploration around the southern point of Africa and onwards to the coast. And Navigador does a great job of implementing the Rondel. Now, we step into, and then there's a few games in between there, but here's the definitive kind of jump as a designer, because we're going to see when we talk about, after I finish explaining the Rondel and the coolness about it, I'll start to pick through some games and just talk about them. But like every good idea, people are going to riff on the idea. And in this case, and what I mean riff is a reinterpretation, okay, or a re-improvisation of the idea. In this case, in Concordia in 2013, Matt Gertz basically took that Rondel off the table and put it into your hand as a deck of cards. And you play these cards down until the point where you have a judgment to make on the actions remaining in your hand as represented as cards, or pick up your deck to reestablish the options in your Rondel, right? And now, the real cool thing that he did was that now that you have this deck of cards, or this handful of cards that starts out being the same for everybody, there's a market. There's a declining resource costing card market where you can now asynchronously modify your hand or your engine, because these, like the Rondel, all of these cards represent either the ability to do actions or to gain resources, or a hybrid of those. Now, your ability to bring in new actions or more powerful actions, or more specific actions, hones your way or your exploration into how you gather points. And now also, on top of that, this is so genius, on top of the ability that now you're increasing your deck and your ability to do these actions and more powerful actions, these cards also have a tertiary effect. I mean, I think that's right, a third kind of function, and that is end of game scoring. And in that, you basically create multipliers. If you have the same card, end of game scoring card, like let's say, and they use, of course, this is the Mediterranean. They use mythology and the representation of gods like Mercury, Venus, and so on and so forth as the domains in which these multipliers can stack. Now you're talking, okay? Wonderful. I could go on and gush about Concordia. It's such a good game. But yeah, so Concordia. Then he went on to Transatlantic, which was kind of a left turn a bit from this whole Rondel in your hand card system. And I just recently picked up Concordia Solitaria, which turns all of that into a solitaire and a very interesting two-player game, but I haven't read about that yet. So that's Matt Gertz, who, like I said, is credited with first coming out with that idea. Now, quickly following that same idea, like I said, the reinterpretation or the riffs on that, I want to talk about a designer that I adore and a game I love. And it was in doing this homework that I really determined that, yes, this is, in fact, a Rondel mechanism. And I'm talking about Macau, that came out in 2009, designed by Stefan Feld. And the Rondel in this case is a windrose. And in that windrose, you have the pip identifications on the outsides of these pie segments. And how it works is the dice that you choose and the pip represents the timeline, or, in so many turns, these resources that you had planned for will be available to you. Now, that is a cool idea in regards to that. It's the Rondel in this case isn't you deciding what actions you're taking or what resources you're taking. The Rondel in this case identifies to you what actions and resources are available to you in order for you during that turn to strategically choose what you're going to do with these resources, because these resources now generate different abilities that you can either go into the exploring on the navigational side or going into the market side. Or yes, it is so wonderful. And once again, there's some card play that there's, and as all good designers and all creative people will borrow or will reinterpret great ideas that they connect with, and that is such a good sign of respect when other people kind of riff off your ideas. Now, in that same year, Vladimir Suchy, another one of my favorite designers, in 2009 designed Shipyard, where now not only is there just one Rondel, not just two, not three, but there's 4 Rondels in this game. Yay! So if you like Rondels and you have not played Shipyard, go check it out on YouTube or whatever, and I guarantee you that your mind will go, oh, please find this game. I need to play it, right? Your brain, the itch is there's going to be an itch. In this game, there's 4 Rondels that do little kind of mini action events on their own, which contribute to a whole in regards to building this ship and setting this ship out on its course. And yeah, that's again, there's a reason why I really like Praga, Caput, Regni, which I spoke to about in the games of late, is because the depth and dimension of connection to me makes sense, and I understand it, and I connect with it. So yay. Now, once again, another riff that I want to talk about, or reinterpretation, or new perspective and methodology applied to the Rondel, is in 2012, once again, Stefan Feld designed using the hybrid now. He hybridized the Rondel system to include the Moncala system, and I'm referring to Trajan in 2012. And now, here's the cool part. It's no longer, the rondel's no longer on the board as a common mechanical system for everybody at the table. Everybody has their own rondel system, rondel mancala system, in front of them on their player board. Now, envision this. I think it's 6 kind of spots on your rondel, or little kind of mancala bowls, and you have different color, like mancala, you have multiple markers, and in these markers there's different colors. And so right now you have all these different kind of synergistic connections of where you're going and what you're doing and how powerful it is that you're doing it. And without getting too descriptive and deep in Trajan, it's kind of like having 4 or 5 kind of 5 or 6 mini games going on this whole Roman Senate-esque, if you love the Rome theme, you like, ancient Rome, you'll dig this. And if you love Euros and this whole stuff to do all over the place, and don't want to say the word point salad, but it's spelled, there you go, right? But the idea that the mancala and the rondel system moving around was really cool. And as well, this, again, had a tertiary thing, that it was the timer for the amount of markers that you picked up and dropped off, was the amount of time that was pushed down the track for the rounds to happen. So, this I want to go play this game right now. That's how much I love this game. It again, if you love Euros, if you like Feld, if you like all these little tracks and games and stuff, this is up your alley for sure. Now, in 2012, before I get into just start picking it off the list and telling you guys about some really cool mancala games that I've played before, I want to quickly talk about in 2012, that same year, Inca and Marcus Brand came out with a game called Murano. And if you don't know Murano, Murano is like a part of Venice. So we're talking about no roads, just canals. We're talking about transportation is canals only and bridges, and you have all these small little islands that are linked together with these canal systems, right? And on the outside of this board is an enormous rondel. Now, putting the rondel on the outside track of the board, they were not the first. I think Guatemala Cafe in 2007, I'm just going off the top of my head, are noted as being the first to attempt that or to accomplish that. But once again, reinterpretation, or as I said, a riff, like a new guitar riff, okay, they moved it to the outside of the board, but now as if you've ever been there into Venice, there's lots of gondolas. They're all over the place. And sometimes there's traffic. So how it works is you select any gondola that's at the front that can move, and you do it. Like I said, there's always you have this many moves that don't cost you anything, and then outside of that spectrum, anything else you wish to do has a cost. So you move, you select your actions, and so on and so forth. But the cool part is, if you've got some money, you can pay the gondola drivers in front of you to just go ahead a couple spots so that this guy can come into this spot. It is such a cool take on, again, something else that you can do with this rondel system as far as an engine goes, or as far as a mechanism goes. And I have this game. It is a great game. Now, if you've it's a great game. Now, if you've familiar with Inca Marcus Brand, they are the ones who are famous for the Exit series of escape rooms in a box kind of thing. So credibility. Now, let's kind of check out some notable games that use the rondel system. And the first notable game for me is Great Western Trail. And we could probably connect Boone Lake with that too, because in Maracaibo, Alexander Pfister, his take on rondels is that it is a track or journey. In Great Western Trail, you are moving cattle along a route that you choose. There's variations on this route that go into dangerous spots, but there's a from point A to point B kind of thing, and then once you get to point B, you reset to point A. That's the rondel system. Now, the actions in that rondel system are the buildings that the game has, the basic buildings that the game has available to everybody, and specific buildings that you build along this route that you have access to. Others may access it, but they only are able to take auxiliary actions. You have access to this because you, as this ranch company, this family, or the business, has established these posts along this route from point A to point B. And there's such, and again, there's an asynchronous or asymmetry. I keep saying asynchronous when I mean asymmetry. I'm sorry if people's eyes are twitching. There's an asymmetry that you can develop by either hiring carpenters, cowboys, or engineers, because the carpenters allow you to build more buildings at a better cost premium, powerful buildings. The cowboys, because this is also a deck building game, the cowboys allow you to buy the cards, and the engineers allow you to have this train move down for deliveries and so on and so forth. The interconnectivity of this all revolves around you moving down this rondel that you develop. And very much the same way in Boone Lake and Maracaibo, not exactly, but a reinterpretation of that idea. So cool. There's also, if you like Glenmore in 2010, and there's Glenmore 2 that's now out, they use a rondel system where it's a tile building game, and the tiles are on the track, and you basically, the person who is in very much the Takedo thing, where if you're in the last spot, then it's your turn, and you get to pick the tiles that are in front of you in a rondel kind of system. There's, first tile, second tile, third tile. Now, what's dangerous in this one is you could go as far as you want. If you want to go six tiles past the first one to go get a specific one, that's great. But remember, it's always the person who's in last place that it's their turn. So you could go for a big jump for a tile, and someone could just, take their time and be selective on the tiles that they pick to develop their own little hamlet that will start generating these resources from a phenomenal rate. So that is a very cool interpretation of the rondel. Vikings. I remember playing Vikings. I think Ryan taught it to me at FallCon. And that is also a very interesting interpretation in regards to the boats that you have and the actions that you take that are connected to your kind of Viking exploration and power building. Like I said, I haven't played it. I played it once a long time ago. I remember enjoying it, and I remember being intrigued by the intricacies of this rondel application. Now, the next one I would quickly want to point out is Viscounts of the West Kingdom, and that's Shem Phillips Garfield Games. I just recently bought it, and now it's a rondel system, but it's not like a little windrose or a little pie in the corner. The board itself is the rondel, and at the center is this basically step system of power, influence, and command of the board, and the center of power being Viscounts of the West Kingdom. But this, again, what a clever reinterpretation of the rondel system by making the board the rondel itself. And each segment, now it's not just to fold it out and stay like this. the board itself has a variable build to it. So there could be different things beside each other at any given point, any given game. And I love that. I want to see more of that, because I think that itself dynamically changes the way one can interpret the board, and one can interpret how to be successful in a game. So yay. Again, kind of same idea. Stefan Feld, I think he's liking Rondel's more and more. I keep seeing this, but Merlin, I believe I played Merlin a couple times, and I got it in a board game swap. You go around again. The board itself is Rondel-esque, but you now have these markers, different markers that go around determining the different abilities and different things that you can take. I don't know. I don't remember too much about it. I remember I enjoyed it. Didn't click for me right away, but I like it enough that I got a copy because I want to explore it some more. Let's see. What else am I familiar with? New York Zoo has a rondel system where going around this track, and again, you could consider patchwork, both Uwe Rosenberg, because I think patchwork came before New York Zoo. Patchwork is that proof of concept, and New York Zoo is the thematic adaptation of that idea of going around a track and getting these polyomino pieces and creating your own little zoo. And like I said, that interpretation of the rondel is you moving around, picking either animals or picking other park pieces, or having, I think it's the breeding aspect in regards to populating your zoo. So I have so much fun with that game. I think I might have to play it this weekend. Kraftwagen is another one. I had that. I think it's Matthew Kramer. And I got rid of it because I don't think it clicked with the game group. But in that case, it's a very kind of simplified version of you producing vehicles in the 1920s, 30s era. And with that kind of Mercedes-Benz, I don't think they mentioned that, but I don't think it's a Mercedes-Benz game kind of thing. So another one that I played, I really like it because the theme spoke to me, and this idea of how they used the rondel. Johnny Pack designed a game called Coloma, and it is about the gold rush. And the rondel is in fact this circular track, but there is there's an overlay system that is used as well with it that mechanically manipulates the outcomes of the rondel. And it was so much fun. It's so great. So much so that I went out and bought Sierra West because I really liked how Johnny Pack was looking at his game designs. You know what? I could gush about a whole bunch of other games, but I'll let you to discover that. The one I got recently that uses a rondel, and I want to find some time to play it, is Three Sisters. And from those who brought you Fleet and Fleet the Dice game, they take that Fleet the Dice game and turn it into an agricultural game. Three Sisters, if you don't know, is a agricultural system that was developed by the indigenous First Nations of the Great Lakes area. And it's the idea that you grow corn, beans, and squash. The corns provide the trellis for the beans to climb, and the squash provides the ground cover to protect and reduce evaporation of the soil, therefore creating a agricultural species harmony. And so Three Sisters is just that. You're basically backyard gardening, and you roll the dice and you put the dice around the rondel. Then you pick the action according to the pip value, or the pip is indicative of the area of your garden that you're working. I can't wait to finally sit down and get into this game because I love Fleet the Dice game. and I think I'm going to really like what they did with how they put Three Sisters together. So, that being said, that's the Rondel mechanism. I hope that it intrigues you enough, and I hope I talked about enough games that made you kind of go, I want to look more about that. And if that's the case, I apologize, because you might be going shopping for games too. So, thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. I really appreciate it. And I'm your host, Norm, and I'll catch you later. This has been an episode of Cardboard Conjecture, and we are Bridge City Board Gamers. And you can find us on Facebook at Bridge City Board Gamers Saskatoon. You can find us on YouTube, Bridge City Board Gamers. We are also on Twitter at BC Board Gamers. And of course, Board Game Geek Guild number 3039.